Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. Enjoy the listening. Their victory was assured until humanity showed up with firepower from hell. The unveiling of Prometheus. The stars were silent witnesses to humanity's last stand. Captain Elena Ray stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, Earth's most advanced warship and possibly the last hope for the survival of the human race. Her dark eyes reflected the glow of tactical displays as she studied the positions of the Taraki invasion fleet that had pushed humanity to the brink of extinction, stealth systems functioning at optimal capacity. "Captain," reported Lieutenant Commander Hiroshi Tanaka, his voice steady despite the weight of what they were about to attempt. "The Taraki have no idea we're here." Elena nodded, her short black hair framing a face lined with the stress of 3 years of constant retreat. At that moment, the Singularity Drive chief engineer, Valentina Sokolov, looked up from her station. The dark circles under her eyes were a testament to the countless sleepless nights spent perfecting the experimental technology ready for deployment. "Captain, if the simulations are correct, it will work exactly as designed." Belena took a deep breath. The Singularity Drive was humanity's last gambit, a weapon that, in theory, could create a localized gravitational distortion powerful enough to tear through the seemingly impenetrable shields of the Taraki warships. Developed in secret on Earth's last hidden base on Titan, it represented everything humans had left: their ingenuity, their determination, and their refusal to surrender. "Communications, Elena," she said, turning to the young officer at the comm station. "Patch me through to the Resistance fleet." "Channel open, Captain," came the response. Elena straightened her shoulders, aware that her words would reach the commanders of the 50 smaller vessels hidden throughout the Taraki blockade of Saturn, fast attack ships and retrofitted civilian vessels that had managed to slip past enemy lines over the last month. They were positioned according to a plan 3 years in the making. "This is Captain Ray. For 3 years we've watched the Terra burn our worlds. They believed their technology made them invincible. They thought we would accept extinction. They were wrong." Her voice grew stronger with each word. She paused, looking at the tactical display showing the massive alien armada surrounding Saturn's orbit, unaware of the human forces in their midst. "In exactly 5 minutes, the Prometheus will deploy the Singularity Drive. When their shields fail, you all know your targets. Today, we fight not just for ourselves, but for everyone who didn't live to see this moment." As she ended the transmission, a heavy silence fell over the bridge, and the countdown began, displayed prominently on the main view screen, each passing second bringing them closer to either salvation or final defeat. Elena found herself thinking of Earth, once vibrant and beautiful, now a ruined world under Taraki occupation. She thought of her family, scattered or lost in the initial invasion. Would they be proud of what she was about to do? Was revenge worth the potential cost? 10 seconds, announced Commander Alexei Vyulov, her first officer. The Taraki vessels continued their patrol, their arrogance evident in their lack of proper security measures. After 3 years of one-sided warfare, they had grown complacent, never expecting the defeated humans to strike back. 5-4-3, Elena gripped the command chair, her knuckles white. 2-1, Singularity Drive deployed. For one breathless moment, nothing happened, then reality itself seemed to warp around the Prometheus. A ripple of distorted spacetime expanded outward in all directions, invisible to the naked eye but devastating to the Taraki technology. One by one, the alien vessels went dark. Their shields collapsed, their engines failed, and emergency systems flickered on across their fleet. The massive vessels began to drift, suddenly vulnerable. "It worked," whispered Tanaka in disbelief. Before Elena could respond, the communications panel erupted with activity. "Captain, Lieutenant Park, we're receiving a transmission from the Taraki command ship." Elena straightened her uniform jacket. On the view screen, the image flickered, and the alien commander appeared. Unlike the tall, skeletal warriors humans had come to fear, this one seemed different, more regal but also visibly alarmed. Its iridescent scales reflected the emergency lighting of its bridge, and its 4 eyes darted rapidly in what intelligence reports had identified as extreme distress. "This is impossible," the alien hissed through its accented English translator technology, converting its natural clicking language. "Your primitive species does not possess such technology." Alina allowed herself a small, grim smile. There's a lot you don't know about humans. The Taraki commander's next words chilled everyone on the bridge. You have no idea what you've done, what you've awakened. Before Alina could demand clarification, Lieutenant Tanaka shouted, multiple new signatures appearing at the edge of the system. They're not Taraki, and they're heading straight for us. Alina looked back at the screen, seeing genuine fear in the alien commander's eyes. What have we awakened? She demanded. The Taraki's answer was lost as the transmission cut out, leaving the bridge in stunned silence as something new and unknown raced toward the battlefield that humanity had just claimed. Alarms blared across the Prometheus as Alina gripped her command chair. Tactical, what are we dealing with? Lieutenant Sophia Chen's fingers flew across her console. 29 vessels approaching at incredible velocity. Configuration unknown, no match in our database. They're unlike anything we've ever seen. Defensive positions. Alina, all ships form up around the Prometheus. Engineer Sokolov, can we deploy the singularity drive again? Sokolov shook her head, the lines on her face deepening. Negative, Captain. The system needs at least 8 hours to recharge. We're running on auxiliary power as it is. Alina cursed under her breath. The singularity drive had been humanity's ace, a weapon developed in secret by pooling the resources of Earth's remaining scientists. They'd only built one, gambling everything on this single assault. No one had planned for unexpected visitors. Captain Park called out, the Taraki ships are powering back up. Their systems are recovering faster than we anticipated. Commander Vyulov moved to Alina's side, speaking low. We need to retreat while we still can. The resistance fleet isn't equipped for a three-way battle. Alina stared at the tactical display, watching as the unknown vessels approached from one direction while the recovering Taraki fleet loomed from the other. They were caught in the middle with nowhere to run. Captain Park broke in. I'm picking up fragmented communications between the Taraki ships. They're terrified of the newcomers. Alina raised an eyebrow. Can you get me any details? Just one word. They keep repeating devourers. A chill ran down Alina's spine as she recalled intelligence briefings from early in the war, rumors of something that even the Taraki feared, whispers of a force that these conquerors avoided at all costs. Humanity had dismissed it as propaganda or superstition. Captain, the Taraki command ship is hailing us again, Park announced. On screen, the Taraki commander appeared, its movements frantic. Human vessel, we propose immediate cessation of hostilities. A stunned silence fell over the bridge. You're surrendering? Alina asked suspiciously. Not surrender, alliance. The Taraki's compound eyes darted nervously. The Devourers come for us all. They are drawn to the energy signature of your weapon. They have hunted my kind across 17 systems. We believed we had escaped their notice in this remote sector. Alina exchanged glances with Vyulov. And why should I trust anything you say? After 3 years of genocide against my people. Because in 5 minutes, none of that will matter. The Taraki hissed, the Devourers consume all technology they encounter, all species. They are not conquerors like us. They are exterminators. The tactical display updated, showing the approaching fleet accelerating. Captain Chen reported, the unknown vessels have increased speed. They'll intercept us in 4 minutes. Belena felt the weight of command like a physical burden. The war with the Taraki had devastated humanity, reduced Earth's once proud civilization to desperate refugees clinging to their last outposts in the solar system. And now she was being asked to ally with these same enemies against an even greater threat. Captain Sokolov said quietly, the singularity drive did something we didn't anticipate. It created a subspace ripple that's still propagating outward. That's what they're following. Delina closed her eyes briefly. Her gamble to save humanity might have doomed them all. Commander Vyulov, open a channel to all human vessels, she ordered. All ships target the approaching Devourer fleet. Coordinate with the Taraki vessels as necessary. Vyulov stared in disbelief. Captain, we're going to fight alongside the Taraki. We're going to survive. Alina replied grimly, that's what humans do. She turned back to the view screen where the Taraki commander waited. Tell your fleet to fall in with ours. We'll need to know everything about these Devourers, their weaknesses, tactical patterns, anything. The alien nodded solemnly. There is little to tell. They do not communicate. They do not negotiate. They simply consume. As if to emphasize the point, the tactical display updated again. The Devourer vessels had split into 3 attack groups, their formation suggesting both intelligence and experience. 1 minute to intercept, Chen announced, fear evident in her voice despite her professional demeanor. Delina opened a ship-wide channel. All hands prepare for combat. This isn't the battle we planned for, but it's the one we've got. She paused, knowing her next words would be recorded in whatever history survived this day. Humanity hasn't come this far to disappear. Now the first beam from a Devourer ship lit up space like artificial lightning, striking the outermost ships of the hastily formed human Tyraki defensive line. The battle for survival had begun. An alliance of necessity was formed as the Prometheus shuddered violently. Another Devourer energy beam glanced off its failing shields. Captain Elena Ray steadied herself against her command chair, watching with growing dread as tactical displays showed 5 human vessels and 3 Tyraki cruisers already reduced to drifting debris, shields at 32%. Lieutenant Tanaka reported, sweat streaming down his face. We can't take much more of this. 2 hours into the battle, and they were losing badly. The Devourer ships moved with eerie coordination that suggested either a hive mind or combat experience spanning centuries. They targeted the weakest vessels first, methodically eliminating the combined fleet's defensive perimeter, learning from each ship they destroyed. The Tyraki commander growled through the still-open channel. Its name was Corval. Elena had learned it was the supreme war master of the Tyraki Imperium. Their weapons adapt to our defenses, Elena observed as a Devourer vessel absorbed a direct hit from a Tyraki energy weapon, the same type that had devastated Earth's orbital defenses years ago. The alien ship's hull shimmered, then stabilized completely, undamaged. Sook, Elena called out, any progress on the singularity drive? The engineer looked up from where she was rerouting power systems. 3 more hours at minimum, Captain. She hesitated, then added, but I've been analyzing their attack patterns. There's something strange about how they're positioning themselves. Elena moved to Sokolov's station. Show me. Sokolov pulled up a 3-dimensional tactical display. They're forming a perfect hemisphere around us, but they're leaving this vector completely open. She pointed to an area of space directly behind the Prometheus. It's almost like they're hurting us. Valentina felt a cold realization settle in her gut. They're not attacking randomly, they're pushing us somewhere. She returned to the main viewer where Corval waited. Your people have encountered these Devourers before. Where might they be driving us? The alien's compound eyes widened. The gravity well, they use stellar bodies to trap their prey. Elena spun toward the navigation console. Full sensor sweep of the system, what's behind us? The young navigator worked frantically. A red dwarf star, Captain, weak but with an unusually intense radiation belt. Our sensors didn't pick it up earlier because of interference from the battle. They're pushing us into a trap, Vyulov whispered. Elena stared at the tactical display, her mind racing. Their combined fleet was down to 17 vessels. The Devourers, despite taking losses, still outnumbered them 3-1. Conventional tactics would fail. They needed something the Devourers wouldn't expect. Captain, Sokolov said suddenly, the singularity drive didn't just disable the Tyraki ships. It created a cascading energy effect that I think I can replicate without the main weapon. Explain, Elena demanded. If we reconfigure our shield generators to pulse at the exact frequency of the singularity drive and convince the Tyraki to do the same with their remaining ships, we could create a ripple effect. It won't be as powerful. Elena finished, understanding dawning. No, Sokolov admitted, but it might disrupt their systems long enough for us to break formation and escape the trap. Elena nodded. Make it happen and get me a direct line to every ship commander. As Sokolov rushed to implement her plan, Elena opened a secure channel to the Resistance fleet and the Tyraki vessels. In quick, clear terms, she explained their desperate strategy. This is insanity, one of the Tyraki captains protested. You would have us modify our shield systems based on untested human theories. With all due respect, Elena countered, it's either this or wait for the Devourers to drive us into that radiation belt and finish us off. Your war master already agreed to this alliance. Corval's voice cut through the chatter. Do as the human says, their weapon worked against us. It may work against the Devourers. The next 30 minutes passed in intense activity as engineers across both fleets implemented Sokolov's modifications. The Devourers continued their methodical assault, herding the surviving ships closer to the red dwarf. Captain Chen reported, "We've lost 2 more vessels. The Devourers have adapted to our defensive formations. They're becoming more aggressive. They sense we're planning something." Elena murmured, "How much longer?" "Sokolov shield modifications at 92% across the fleet," the engineer responded. 3 minutes to full implementation." Elena studied the tactical display. They wouldn't have 3 minutes. The Devourers were closing in, tightening their net. She made a quick decision. "All vessels, this is Captain Ray's. Execute shield pulse on my mark, regardless of completion status." She looked to Sokolov. "Will it work at 92%? The engineer shrugged. "It might, or it might tear our shields apart completely." "Better than the alternative," Elena replied grimly. She opened the fleet-wide channel again. "On my mark, 3, 2, 1, execute." For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the shields of every human and Taraki vessel began to pulse with an eerie blue light. The energy cascaded between ships, growing stronger with each cycle, creating a web of fluctuating power. The effect on the Devourer ships was immediate. Their coordinated movements faltered. Several of their vessels drifted off course, their weapons systems flickering. "It's working," Vyulov exclaimed. "For now," Elena cautioned. "Tactical, find us a way out of this hemisphere. Navigation, prepare to jump to emergency coordinates the moment we break their formation." As the combined fleet made its desperate move, the Devourers began to recover faster than anticipated. 2 human ships disappeared in brilliant explosions as Devourer beams cut through their weakened shields. "They're adapting," Chen shouted. "The pulse effect is diminishing all vessels, maximum thrust. Break for the gap now." The Prometheus surged forward, leading the remaining fleet toward the narrow opening in the Devourer formation. For a moment it seemed they might escape, then 3 massive Devourer ships materialized directly in their path. "They were waiting for us," Vyulov whispered. On the main view screen, a new image appeared. The new Devourer vessels were unlike any we've encountered, darker, larger, and covered in what looked like organic technology that pulsed with internal light. Captain Park called out, "I'm receiving a transmission from the Devourers." Elena's eyes widened in surprise. "Put it through." The view screen flickered, and Elena found herself staring at something that defied easy description. Not quite machine, not quite organic. The being before you has multiple sensory appendages surrounding a central mass that glows with bioluminescent light. Human vessels. A voice seemed to resonate in Elena's mind rather than through the ship's speakers. "You possess technology beyond your evolutionary stage. Explain." Elena glanced at Vyulov, then back at the screen. "We developed it ourselves to defend against the Taraki invasion." The Devourer seemed to consider this impossible. "Analysis indicates quantum manipulation beyond your species' theoretical understanding." A realization dawned on Elena. "You think we stole it from some other species? All primitive species acquire advanced technology through theft or salvage. It is the pattern." Elena straightened. "Well, we didn't. Humans invented the singularity drive. We may be primitive by your standards, but we're quick learners." There was a long pause. The Devourer's appendages writhed in what might have been confusion. "If true, this requires reassessment. We have tracked stolen precursor technology across 17 systems. The Taraki have used it to expand beyond their rightful territory." Elena looked to the small window showing Corval, who had gone very still. "Is this true?" she demanded. "Did you steal your technology?" The Taraki War Master's mandibles clicked rapidly. "We discovered artifacts, ancient technology left by a race long extinct. We merely adapted it to our needs." "You stole it," Elena corrected, "and then used it to conquer other worlds, including Earth. Technology belongs to those strong enough to wield it." Corval insisted. The Devourer's voice resonated again. "The precursor technology cannot be allowed to proliferate. It creates instabilities in the quantum fabric of reality. We are tasked with its containment, and that justifies exterminating entire species." Elena challenged, "Those who use what they do not understand must face consequences." Taking a deep breath, she continued, "What if we proved we understood it? What if we demonstrated that we developed our technology independently, based on our own science?" The Devourer was silent for a moment. "This would require verification. I'll do better than that," Elena said. I'll show you our research, the development process, and then I'll demonstrate that our singularity drive works on different principles than your precursor technology. She looked at Sokolov, who nodded slowly, catching on to Alina's gambit. The pulse frequency, Sokolov, the engineer whispered, is completely different from anything in the Taraki systems. Alina turned back to the view screen. Your sensors must have detected it. Our technology operates on a completely different principle than anything the Taraki use. We didn't steal, we innovated. The Devourer's appendages writhed again. We will investigate this claim, cease all hostilities, and prepare for inspection. The transmission ended. Alina breathed a sigh of relief. They have bought us time at least. Captain, Vyulov said quietly, if they determine we're lying. We're not lying, Alina replied. Sokolov, prepare all research data on the Singularity Drive. Park, maintain open communications with both the Devourers and the Taraki. She turned to face the bridge crew. This isn't over, but we've changed the rules of engagement for the first time. We're not just fighting, we're talking, and that's something humans have always been good at. The next 12 hours were tense as Devourer inspection teams boarded both human and Taraki vessels. Sokolov worked tirelessly, explaining the principles behind the Singularity Drive to beings whose technology was centuries beyond human understanding. Finally, Alina was summoned to a meeting aboard the lead Devourer vessel. To her surprise, Corval was also present, looking distinctly uncomfortable in the organic, mechanical environment of the Devourer ship. The central Devourer entity, which had introduced itself as Observer Collective 7, floated in a containment field at the center of the chamber. Our analysis is complete, it announced. The human technology, while utilizing similar quantum principles to precursor artifacts, was indeed developed independently. Its design shows innovation we have not encountered in 10,000 cycles. Alina couldn't help a small smile. So we pass your test. You present an anomaly, a primitive species that has achieved advanced understanding through natural development rather than theft. This requires reconsideration of our protocols. The observer turned its attention to Corval. The Taraki, however, have been judged and found wanting. Their empire is built on stolen technology. They do not fully comprehend. Corval's mandibles clicked in distress. You cannot simply erase all we have built. We can, the observer stated flatly, and we would be justified in doing so. Alina stepped forward. Maybe there's another way. Both aliens turned to her in surprise. The Taraki use stolen technology. Yes, they invaded Earth and other worlds, but destroying them won't undo that damage. She took a deep breath. What if instead you supervised a transition? The Taraki would return to their technological level prior to discovering the precursor artifacts and withdraw from conquered worlds. You would advocate for your enemies? The observer asked. I'm advocating for a solution that doesn't involve more destruction, Alina replied. Humans want justice, not vengeance. After a long moment, the observer's appendages waved in what Alina had come to recognize as agreement. Your proposal has merit. The Taraki will relinquish all precursor technology and withdraw to their home world. Corval seemed about to protest, then slumped in resignation. We accept these terms. The observer turned back to Alina. As for humans, your unique development path interests us. We propose an exchange of knowledge, with limitations on implementation to prevent the instabilities we guard against. Alina nodded slowly. I believe Earth would be open to such an arrangement. 3 months later, Alina stood on the observation deck of the rebuilt Prometheus, watching as Earth came into view, still scarred from the Taraki occupation but healing. The Devourers had departed after establishing monitoring outposts at the edges of the solar system, but not before sharing limited knowledge that had already revolutionized human understanding of quantum physics. The Taraki had withdrawn as promised, their once mighty fleet reduced to precursor technology levels. Reports indicated civil unrest throughout their former empire as conquered species reclaimed their independence. Quite a view, said Captain Park, joining her at the viewport. Alina nodded. I never thought I'd see Earth again, not like this, free and all because you decided to talk rather than fight. Sokolov observed, that was the most human thing you could have done. Alina smiled. Maybe that's what the Devourers found so interesting about us. not just our technology, but our capacity to find alternatives to destruction. As the Prometheus entered Earth orbit, Elena felt a profound sense of possibility. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged not just intact, but with new understanding and new allies. The stars, once the backdrop for humanity's last stand, now represented infinite potential. Captain Park's voice came over the comm. Earth Command is hailing us. They're requesting your report on the Devourer knowledge exchange. Elena took one last look at the blue planet below. Tell them I'm on my way and that I have quite a story to tell.